Hey, yo, this is Fonz
and Quan.
And welcome back to another show. Listen, if you're on social media, primarily Facebook, go search Back Porch Sports Podcast War Room, where we are always chopping it up. We got special things going on. And, you know, even if you're a Cowboy fan, or like my man, he's still a fan, we'll still welcome you in there, you know.
Watch it. Also, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment on our YouTube channel at Back Porch Sports Podcast. We're there every week, and we would love for y'all to be a part of it by dropping your comments. If you want to be notified of when that video drop, which is also weekly, hit that notification bell right over to the side. Mm-hmm. And anything else you want to add?
Man, I ain't got nothing else, man. Go on, kick that theme music. Twofold episode, and you, Quan, brought up some crazy stats last week. Now, over the course of the week, those stats have changed, not by a little though, it was just by very little. But currently, right now, only running back has over 1,000 yards rushing. Nah, yeah, we know it's week 14. You know, it's the season is getting to that final push. So what do you do? Can you go back over those stats again just to make sure that we on the same page with them
stats? It was no running back over 1,000 yards, and it was no quarterback over 25 touchdowns.
Okay. So currently right now, no quarterback has over 26. Dak Prescott is the only one that got 26 touchdowns. I feel like Tyreek Hill has a chance to not only break Calvin Johnson's single season receiving record, but I feel like he's going to obliterate it the way he's going. Right now, the record is at 1,964. I feel like at the rate he's going, he is going to tear that up. Like right now, he got 1,481, but all he needs is what? A good 400 some odd yards, and I think he could do that.
Plays Tennessee. He plays Tennessee and Jets, Dallas, Baltimore, and Buffalo. So yeah, he should be able to get those.
At least within 2 of those games, he could get that mark. Right now, speaking of receivers, 8 receivers have over 1,000 yards, and they hit that mark this past week. Some of them did. Of course, Tyreek Hill had 1,000 yards for 2 weeks. CeeDee Lamb has over 1,100 yards. Keenan Allen has over 1,100 yards. A.J. Brown has over 1,100 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, if I'm saying his name correctly, he just cracked 1,000 this past Sunday. Nakoa, I don't know how to pronounce his first name, I'm not going to butcher it. Him and Mike Evans have the same amount. And speaking of Mike Evans, it's the 10th year in a row he's had over 1,000 yards in the season. So, hey, those Hall of Fame numbers if you being real. And, of course, DJ Moore he just cracked over 1,000, which is crazy. So, we kind of had a discussion. Shout out to James. And before we go there, my condolences, my brother. My condolences. It's okay. My condolences, man. But we was talking about it, and my thing was, I feel like the league is slowly getting ready to go back to where it was, where people ran the ball, teams ran the ball and played exceptional defense. However, after looking at the stats and seeing how many 1,000-yard receivers we currently have, which are 8, and these are not little names. The league has pretty much became that passing situation that they've been trying to get. Do I feel like any more? I mean, and of course, with the only one running back that has 1,000 yards rushing, I feel like some more is going to get that as the time goes on. But so at this time last week, those stats was kind of skewed. my concern is the quarterback play, because like you said, right now only one quarterback is leading the league in touchdown passes. That's one Dak Prescott, which is crazy. But that's something to watch, though. That is something to watch. All right, let's go. We done had the potatoes. Let's go to the meat. Pause. But the playoff picture.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the Eagles had a chance to clinch a playoff berth this past Sunday, and they got obliterated by the 49ers. that was very surprising, very much indeed. So the number one seed in the NFC is pretty much still up for grabs by a long. It's a slim margin. It's really like a game that's setting it back. Let me see. The Lions, they're currently the number 3 seed. They had to hold on because in the first quarter I thought that game was over. I was listening to that game on Sirius XM. I thought that game was over. But the Saints tried to come back, but sometimes you try, but you don't put the umph in it, and you didn't get that triumph. And the Falcons, they are holding down the top of the NFC South with a 500 record of 6-6, and they have a 1-game lead. And to be honest, that division is pretty much up for grabs. So I'm welcoming your take on the current division leaders.
Yeah, the division is definitely still up for grabs in the NFC East for the Cowboys specifically.
That game could be for the East.
Yeah, they play each other this Sunday. After that loss, Eagles signed a really, really good linebacker in Shaq Leonard. And I do believe that teams is going to pay for that 49ers loss. The issue with the 49ers that the Eagles had is, well, they kind of met their own power at a higher power.
Pretty much.
They was, what's the word for it? It was, 49ers, the Eagles are 2 physical teams.
Yeah.
And the 49ers showed that we can be just as physical as you. It's a lot of hit sticks out there that was landed on a few players. A lot of fights happening on the sideline, which we should see some suspensions or some fines being made for that
got
game.
Ejected.
But yeah, it was a dirty game, and I definitely understand why. These are the 2 most noticeable and notable teams in the NFC. 49ers have had a past of having accomplishments in the NFC, and due to injuries they was not able to succeed that. Meanwhile, the Eagles are trying to repeat their dynasty after losing in Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs. But all that to say this, yes, it's still up for grabs. The Cowboys is going to have to beat the Eagles. I think this is probably the game. This is probably the most important game on the schedule right here.
Yes.
Because if the Cowboys beat the Eagles, well, they both will have a 10-3 record, and I believe they both will be 3-1 in the division. But at least the Cowboys will have a chance, and will be praying for the rest of the season after Sunday that the Eagles lose one more game to give them that number 1 seed. And I pray, Lord Jesus, that everything don't have to be played in Dallas. But nevertheless, Dallas has been playing pretty good. They beat a winning team in the Seahawks. Finally. And they just do. Eagles, like I said, man, they just met their match. Superman versus Batman. Yeah. They beat, I don't know who was who. Don't ask me who.
I think the 49ers was that stranger from the planet Krypton. Because the way they came and blew the doors off, I don't know, man. That was payback.
The first 3 seeds is pretty much. Yeah. It'll be a lot of adjustments made in the last few weeks in the first 3 seeds, which is currently the first 3 seeds is the Eagles, the 49ers, and the Lions. The Cowboys are 5th. Don't ask me why. I don't know how they're fifth, but
because
they're 9-3.
They beat up on bad teams to get 9 wins.
Yeah. But like I said, if they beat the Eagles come Sunday, I think they will probably jump a seed or two.
If they beat
depending
the
on
Eagles,
what happens.
they beat the Eagles. Not only do they take first place in the NFC East, they also, depending on what the 49ers do, they will jump up to number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so that game,
beat the man.
That game will be chippy, and I don't think they'll win. I'm gonna go ahead and say that now. I think the Eagles are very upset, very highly upset. They was embarrassed by the 49ers. Put up 42 on them boys, and their defense was exposed, and some more stuff. Hence why they probably made that signing. Which I don't understand why they were signing a linebacker when I think the secondary was struggling more often than they should have. But nevertheless,
but you can't. I can't fault them for losing to the 49ers.
No, that's the loss they needed.
Right, that too, and then on top of that, the 49ers' weapons are none to play with.
At all. Shout out to Debo Samuel.
They said Wu-Tang Clan won't nothing to mess with. No, I beg to differ. Those 49ers weapons with Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and Christian McCaffrey, like, they put on the clinic, man. Mr. Irrelevant is being really relevant right now. But to me, out of all those wild card teams, Cowboys included, well, of course, the Cowboys, Vikings, and Packers. The Packers, to me, are the team to watch out for. The Packers, well, first of all, Kansas City there's a chink in the armor. And that chink in the armor is Eric Bieniemy and Tyreek Hill. They're no longer there. And to a certain degree, Juju Smith-Schuster, who last year, if I heard the record correctly, he had a little bit under 1,000 yards last year. So so I'm gonna put him in that little pie too. The Packers are streaking right now. They're quietly streaking. To me, I got a feeling that at some point, I'm not gonna say they're gonna crack the top 4. They can't crack the top 4 because right now all those people are division leaders, but you still got the Rams, who they got the head-to-head over because they beat the Rams. And then you got the Seahawks lurking. So 8 and 9, those are the ones that I really feel like going to fight for that number 7 spot. The Packers, on the other hand, out of those 3, the Packers, to me, are the better looking team based on my eye test. You know what?
I don't even think it would have to necessarily be a fight. I think the questionable team in the middle of this pack is the Vikings, and I think the only reason why they're number 6 is because they had a great start.
Yeah,
and the quarterback got injured. Josh Dobbs provided a few wins. I think maybe 1 or 2 wins, but he showed his true colors maybe last week, or I think it was last week. So that team is questionable. A lot of questions revolving, and I think part of their struggles is Justin Jefferson's not on the field right now.
Yeah,
that is now true. When he gets back, they may be able to make a push for it because that gives Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs has been playing. I really can't measure it because he made a boo boo, which is everybody makes boo boos. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was coming.
Yeah, it was coming, but then it's like, when I watched that game, it was like, well, I kind of see why you just not getting a starting job.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, you're a career backup.
Yeah. Nevertheless, it's a lot to be seen, but I don't think it's gonna have to be a fight. If another team that is in the outside looking in is the Steelers. I'm not so big on the Rams. But I think the Seahawks can maybe the Vikings and the Seahawks can kind of maybe switch flip-flop. I can see that.
I can see that.
The Vikings may fall. I don't know what their remaining schedule is. I can get it up here in a few minutes, but yeah, I think the Vikings out of that wild card spot will be the one to fall and give one of those two teams that's looking out a chance to get in.
But the main point I want to get to back with the Packers though is that okay, they got a showdown with the Giants in Week 14. Then they finished the season against Tampa Bay, Carolina, and Minnesota, and Chicago.
And who is this again?
This is the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, the Packers, okay.
Watch out for the Green Bay Packers. I'm not going to say that they're going to win their division because to me, the NFC North is the division that's pretty much the Lions at this point. Is theirs to lose. But you know they have an easy path to make it to the playoffs. I would like to see the Packers back in the playoffs because it makes for good football in my opinion, even for them to get trounced in the first round. But you know,
it really doesn't help neither the 6th seed nor the 7th seed, which is the Vikings and the Packers, because they play each other the week before the last week of football.
Right.
So that could be a playoff scenario. Whoever wins that game will probably make it in, because by that time, maybe the Seahawks or the Rams has accumulated some wins by then. So that divisional game. So it's two important games going on in the NFC. Mm-hmm. The Eagles and that Cowboys game is going to be big, and we're going to see that this Sunday.
I think that's
going to be big
week,
time.
That's like,
that's probably like the game of the week.
Yeah.
And then later on in the season, we run into the Vikings and the Packers playing. I feel like that'll have some heavy playoff contentions involved because, like, we don't know. I really don't know what the Rams and Seahawks is going to do, but they're not that far behind. Matter of fact, all three of them right now have the same record right now. Right. So that number 6 and number 5. If the Cowboys stay at number 5, I think they got that locked. They're 9-3. Yeah. If anything, they'll lock number 5. That number 6 and number 7 seed is definitely up for grabs, and I mean it even leaks into the number 11 seed with the Saints being 5-7 and the Buccaneers being 5-7. So those last 2 seeds are up for grabs.
Right. Put it to you like this: the NFC. People say the AFC race is pretty much that race, but you really look at the NFC race. There's a lot of people scratching and clawing in there, but we'll see. I still say watch out for the Packers though. The Packers might.
Oh yeah.
Do something real
especially
crazy.
if you go to Lambeau.
Yeah. So let's switch to the AFC for a second. Now, as a result of the weekend's games, the Dolphins have crept in first place, and the only reason why they are in first place today is because they own the overall AFC record over the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Ravens are 6-3 and they're 6-2 in the AFC. So, do I have the Ravens? A lot of people saying the Ravens could and should win the number 1 seed after the Chiefs faltered. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to work out that way. I really think the Dolphins, because of what they can do. Now, we do play the Dolphins later on this year. That could determine the number 1 seed at that point. But now I see us winning against the Rams. We could possibly win against the Jaguars, even though we historically struggled in Jacksonville. But
y'all won't have to worry about Trevor Lawrence.
As I'm saying, their quarterback is hurt. He got hurt last night, but we don't know for how long. They being a little hush. The Jaguars, they are currently number 3, and the Kansas City Chiefs, number 4.
Yeah, that hurt. That Packers loss kind of hurt a little bit.
They really have a small margin of error because behind them, because all they got to do is lose 2 more games, and the Broncos can take over that number 4 spot.
Right, exactly. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So, and you know, the Broncos own the head-to-head against the Bills and those Chiefs. I believe they beat the Chiefs a few weeks ago.
They did.
Steelers, huge disappointment on Sunday. That was not conducive, even though I was actively rooting against y'all for divisional purposes. But the fact that it went through like that, but y'all are currently at 7-5. Y'all own the tiebreaker over the Colts based on common games and tiebreaker over Browns because of the divisional games. I believe y'all are 1-1. against those said Browns. The Browns are a little bit behind, y'all. They're nipping at your heels. They own the head-to-head record over the Colts. And the Colts and Indianapolis has the head-to-head tiebreaker over Houston. Houston, to me, when it comes down to the wild card, y'all need to watch out for Houston. Especially your Steelers. I believe y'all lost to Houston this I think week 2. Houston right now is the best of the outside looking in teams. Houston, before it's said and done, could possibly win 10 games. And then the Broncos, they hold down number 9.
Well, honestly, they should be. No, they have the Jets. You said what now?
I said the Broncos are number 9 and the Bills are 10, which to me that's the biggest disappointment of 2023. You know, they 10th respectively. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs personally.
Yeah. I do not know, but I do agree with the Texans being a threat to take one of these wild card spots. For one instance, the 3 teams in the wild card have the same record of 7-5.
Yes.
Also, the Houston Texans have a very, very, very winnable remaining schedule.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Jets, the Titans, the Browns, the Titans again, and the Colts. Now, they do have a few divisional games in there, which will probably provide some challenges for them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a winnable game. Now, I understand that it just lost a very talented young receiver in Tank Dell.
Yeah, that was kind of huge because he was getting it for him.
Yeah, that was huge. But C.J. Stroud has been playing exceptional football since the start of this season. And he's going to have to be the one responsible for getting this unheard of Houston Texan team to the postseason. I would be flabbergasted if the Houston Texans make it to the playoffs.
Quan A. Smith.
But speaking of the wild card teams at hand, starting with my Steelers, Kenny Pickett went out with an injury. That'll be significant. Offense only looked good one time this season, and that was game before last. We supposedly have a winnable schedule. But with the loss to Kenny Pickett, I think is somewhat a pushback. Now, I will say this: if we do make it to the playoffs, I think we'll be somewhat of a competitive team due to our defense. But nevertheless, I see. It hurts me to say this. And I don't think we'll finish last, but I do think we'll hit a slope, especially if old Mitch Trubisky is out there playing.
Honestly, even with Kenny Pickett, the way y'all looked Sunday at home against a two and whatever team, if y'all win out, it'll be shocking. That'll be probably the shock of the Christmas holidays if y'all would have went out, because, and I hate to even take it there, but I told you this was not a Matt Canada situation. This cannot be. But it is. Hey, y'all fired him. Ain't gonna do with me. Y'all ain't fired me. I mean, I hired me. I can run the offense for you. You know. But going back to Houston though, I be calling the knee, take a knee on first down, messing with me. But going back to Houston though, honestly, the way they set up, just like you said, they could possibly win the rest of their games, or at least drop one.
What about the Browns though? What's gonna happen with them?
The Browns, the Browns actually looked okay with one Joe Flacco under center.
I knew they was going. Did they win that game?
They did not win that game against the Rams.
Well, let me just say this before. Go ahead, finish your point first. And then
if the Browns could make the playoffs, this is how I see it going. It'll be Texans. Of course, they're gonna knock y'all out because they got the tiebreaker over y'all. To me, it's gonna be Texans, Browns, then Steelers.
You think the Colts is gonna fall?
I don't see the Colts because all right, they got the head-to-head tiebreaker over Houston. That's the only reason why the Colts number 7. But they got to play Indy again. Now, Gardner Minshew, it took overtime to beat the Titans. It took them overtime to beat the Titans the other day.
And they play it good. I didn't know that. The Colts play the Steelers.
The Colts?
Yep. Their remaining schedule is the Bengals, the Steelers, the Falcons, the Raiders, and the Texans. So they actually do have somewhat of a chance to knock the 3 current teams. Well,
the
3 current
second
teams
seat
in the playoff race.
That second seat, honestly though, to be real, that first seat in the doggone AFC South could be up for grabs because of the injury to Trevor Lawrence. And as of late, if you look at the Jaguars, when it came down to winning teams, they only beat how many? I don't think they beat many winning teams this year either. Like the only winning team that they beat was y'all. San Fran went down there and San Fran blew the doors out of Duval. But that AFC South is going to be something to watch over the next couple of weeks. It really depends on how long Trevor. And then they didn't look impressive last night, but it's really how long Trevor Lawrence is going to be out. They still got Travis Etienne, but he was kind of dingy this year. It really depends on how long that quarterback can stay out. If he stays out over 2 weeks.
Pretty much what's going on is the AFC South can disrupt the AFC North race in the playoffs. Yeah. Because they play the Steelers and the Bengals, which the Bengals really, I mean, they count, but they end the race, but they ain't high up in the seating.
Right.
But they can totally disrupt this thing, and we could be looking at Houston and the Colts possibly making the postseason, while the Steelers and the Broncos or the Bills or the Bengals can possibly replace that 7th seed. I kind of see it. I really do. I couldn't see the Colts and the Texans making the postseason, and then that 7th seed being in between the Steelers, the Broncos, the Bills, and the Bengals.
But see, you can't eliminate. You really can't eliminate the doggone Jaguars though, because right now they are the division leaders. They sole possession of that division
by 1 game, though.
That's sole possession. I'm just saying, they don't have. Nobody has a share in first place. So, if anything, if the Houston Texans can play it out like we're saying, they will take that number 1 spot, and they'll kind of flip-flop with Indianapolis. So, I see the wild card being Jaguars. Do I really trust Pittsburgh though?
I don't know. I mean that's
the thing. Do I trust Pittsburgh?
That's the team everybody. That's the team everybody needs to be watching for wild card purposes, because we can either slide, which we have been sliding down, or if we start winning, or pull out or sneak some wins in, because that's what we've been doing all year. Y'all be living off. We'll lose. We'll sneak out a win. Sneak out a win.
But the thing is, number 1 seed is really up for grabs. It depends on who slip up first. But like I said, let us know in the comments. And thank you for supporting the channel, supporting this podcast. You know, we've been going. This is going on the next year will be year 3 that we've been doing this, and y'all been really supporting, and we greatly appreciate it. Anything you want to add, my brother?
Not at all.
All right, so we're gonna go ease up out of here to Wednesday. So this has been the Back Porch Sports Podcast with your man Fonz
And Quan.
and we out.